Good morning, student. Welcome to the seventh lecture of Computer Architecture and Organization. In previous lecture, I already discussed about what is word addressability and byte addressability and different types of byte addressing techniques. So in this lecture, we will discuss how the instruction in programs are executed one after another and how the processor executes this. So basically what happens when we are executing an instruction, there are some operations which we have to perform. What are these operations? As we know that there are five functional units. What are these? Memory unit, processor unit, input unit and output unit, and also your control unit. So as I already discussed in my previous lectures about the functional units, if you don't understand the functional units, then go through that videos. So first one is memory unit, arithmetic and logic unit, IO unit and control unit. Okay, so now we will discuss how these units are perform the operations. Okay, so let's see. There are four basic operations which processor performs during execution of a program or instructions. So what are these? First one is we have to transfer data between processor and the main memory. We have to transfer data between processor and main memory. So first operation is data transfer between memory and the processor registers. Why processor registers? Because processor itself cannot store any type of data. It needs some storage device to store operands or instructions, which it fetch from the memory. Okay, so what are the registers basically? The processor contains, as I already discussed, memory address register, memory data register, instruction register, program counter, and some general purpose registers. So these registers are basically used to transfer the data between memory and processor. So what is the next operation? Next operation is done by your control unit. So what it will do? It will control the activity, and another operation done by control unit is the program sequencing. Okay, so if we are having multiple programs in a system, then control unit has to sequence that programs. Which one will be executed first and which one will be executed next. Okay. Now, which one is the third operation? Third operation is your arithmetic and logical operations on data. And another two functional units are left, that is input unit and output unit. Okay, so that is IO transfer, which is done by input unit and the output unit. So these are the basic operations done by the computer system during an instruction execution. Okay, so first operation is done by processor, that is data transfer between memory and processor registers. Second one is the program sequencing and control. Third one, arithmetic and logical operations on data. And fourth one is the IO transfer. Okay, so first operation is done by the processor and memory unit. Another operation is done by the control unit. This one is done by arithmetic and logic unit. And this is done by the input unit and output unit. Now to perform these all operations, we are having some syntax because computer doesn't understand the high level languages, and there is a language which is called as assembly level language, which is used to do the operations. So basically assembly level language are called as middle level languages because high level languages are written in the English basically, and the source code are written in the binary values, that is zeros and ones. And assembly language is middle level language which is done by the assembler, So there are few notations by using which we are writing some programs to perform these operations, these four operations that we have discussed, or writing some instructions. So there are basically two types of notation. First one is these two types of notations which are used to write some programs. So first one is the register transfer notation, and second one is the assembly language notation. So we are going to discuss about both of these notations. So first we will discuss register transfer notation. So what is meant by register transfer notation? Here, when we are performing following operations like data transfer between memory and processor, arithmetic and logical operations on data, and IO transfer, all of these are performed by using registers only. So whether it is a memory operation or whether it is an execution operation, anything is done by the registers only. Okay. So how we will write this register transfer notation? We will discuss. We will discuss about this. There are some special type of registers which are used to perform the operations. So to perform these operations, we are having the processor registers uh, which have discussed, and memory locations. Okay, so then IO subsystem registers. That means when we writing an assembly level language program, we are using these forms like GPR, PC, and or this syntax to write the register transfer notation. So processor registers, what I have discussed before, GPR, PC, and what are the memory locations? To denote the memory locations, we have to write like this. That is LOC, that is location, place, accumulator. A stands for accumulator, and variable 1, like this. Okay, and to denote IO subsystem, that is IO transfer, we are using registers like data in, data out, and in status, like this. Okay, so these registers are the predefined registers, and these names are also predefined, that is location, place, accumulator, variable, data in, data out, in status. These all are the predefined names. So we will use these values or these names to denote the following registers, and to denote processor register, that is GPR. We use for GPR, we use R0, R1, R2, like this to Rn. Okay, Rn means it means there are n number of registers in your processor. So we use this syntax to denote uh, program to denote your memory unit, uh, IO subsystems in the register transfer notation. So let's take some example. Transferring some contents from memory location to general purpose register. In simplest way, transferring some contents from memory location to processor. Then how we will write? What we'll do? We are transferring a contents of location. We are transferring a contents of location. When we are writing a content, we have to enclose a memory location within square bracket. Okay, so here we are transferring the contents of memory location to the GPR, that is to the general purpose register. So as I already told you, general purpose registers are R0, R1, R2 up to Rn, like this. Okay, so here we are transferring the contents of memory location to the general purpose register R1. So this instruction denotes what? The contents of memory location, and that memory location name is LOC, will be transferred to the general purpose register R1, that is our processor register. So this is the notation of data transfer between the processor and memory. Okay, so now data transfer between register to register. So then how we will write it? We will write it like this: data transfer between register to register. Okay, so R4 plus R3 and result will be stored into register R5. So this instruction indicates that the contents of R4 and the contents of R3, these both are the general purpose registers which are present inside the processor, are added and stored in R5. Okay, so this is the format of writing a program for instruction sequencing and instruction execution. So by using register transfer notation, and when I'm writing this, we have to remember one thing in a format of writing register transfer notation. The leftmost side, that is R5, it denotes what it denotes: the memory location or address, or we can say that the destination. Okay, where the result will be placed. So the leftmost side in register transfer notation, the leftmost side is always your destination or memory location or addresses where the result will be stored. Now in this case, R5 is your destination where we will store our result. Okay, so left is always the destination and right side is our always source, or we can call it as value. Okay, so as we are fetching the contents of memory location, what memory location stores? It stores some value. That means, for example, this location stores some value or address or anything. Okay, so we will call it and stored it into destination. For example, this LOC, we will store the contents of LOC into the R1, that is your destination. Okay, so rightmost side is a value or address, which is called as source, and the leftmost side is destination. So in a register transfer notation, source is always written in the right side and destination is always written in the left side. So when we are fetching the contents of memory location or register, we denote it within the square bracket. Okay, whenever we are fetching the contents from memory location or from the register, we have to enclose them in square bracket. Okay, like LOC is enclosed within square bracket, R4 and R3 both are enclosed within the square bracket. Okay, so this is all about the register transfer notation. So one thing that you have to remember is that left side is your destination, right side is your source, and then we have to transfer the contents from your source. Uh, we have to enclose it within square bracket. Okay, so when we are denoting processor register, memory location, or IO transfer, we will directly write it as by using the opcode, source, and destination. So what are the opcodes basically? In assembly language notation, if we will write this, that is R5, R1, that means transferring the contents from location to R1 as we have written in the register transfer notation. So if we will write this, then how we will write it in assembly language notation? We will write it as load LOC, comma R5. Okay, it means that we are loading location into the R5. This is mistakenly written as R5, this is R1. Okay, we have to write this instruction in the assembly language notation. So it means that here we are transferring the contents from location to the register R1. Okay, so that means the contents of memory location LOC to the GPR register R1. So we will write LOC to R1, that means memory location to R1. So basically what this means, load the contents of LOC to R1, and when we are denoting this as R4 plus R3 and transferring the result into R5, storing the result into R5, we can simply write it in assembly language notation as add R4, R3, R5. So this add and load, these all are called as opcodes. Okay, this load and this add, both of these are called as opcode. So basically, what are the operations we are performing, that is given by decoded format, okay, which is called as opcode or operational code, and these are the operands, that is this LOC, R4 and R3, these are the operands. Okay, and what will be operations we will perform, that is concluded by using the opcode. That means when the opcode is add, the operation is addition. When the opcode is subtract, SUB, the operation is subtraction. Okay, and what we will add? We will add this, that is R4 and R3. So first 2 is our source. This 2 is our source and rightmost is our destination. Now in assembly language, R4 and R3, these are the source, and this rightmost, that is register R5, is our destination. Okay, so if I will write add R4, R5, then always the rightmost is our destination and leftmost is our source. Okay, but in register transfer notation, leftmost is your destination and rightmost is your source. Okay, so we will discuss about this in the later videos also. So you have to remember these things, that in some textbook it is given in other format like add R5, R4. That means destination in the leftmost side and the source in the rightmost side. Okay, so it depends on you which book you are following. In different books, the different formats are given. So the opcode is same, operation is same, but the syntax of writing source and destination is different. So some books are writing destination in left side, some books are writing destination in right side, but you have to follow any one of these. So this is all about the assembly language notation. Okay. Now let me tell it again. In assembly language notation, we are performing operations by using opcode, source and destination and operands. Okay, that means operands. So it is used to give the opcode is used to give the information about the operation which is going to be performed, and opcodes are used to do the operations. Okay, so or on the operands we will perform the operations by the arithmetic and logic unit. Okay, so to perform these all operations, processor uses two phases. These two phases can be divided into multiple phases, okay, which I will discuss in the pipelining concept. So what are the basic phases? First one is fetch, another one is execute. So in the fetch, what does the system do? It performs the fetching operations, or you can say that read operation. It will read from the memory and store in the processor register, any type of processor register. And after the fetching done, the execution process starts. So what in the execution phase performs? In execution phase, it is performing many more operations like when we are executing an instruction, first we have to examine the instruction. That means we have to find out what the instruction indicates, and then we have to find out the operations to be performed. Like I will try to execute the instructions like add, for example, add R5, R6, R7. So that means adding R5 with R6 and storing the result in R7. Okay, then the operation to be performed is our addition operation. In the fetching phase, we have not given this information, which type of operation we have to perform on this particular instruction. So in the execution phase, we have to find out all this information, and also we need to find out operands to be needed. So operands are either in the processor register or in the memory location or in the IO subsystem. But we have to find out where the operand is stored, whether it is stored in the memory location or whether it is stored in processor register, that is general purpose register. So it is written in the instruction itself. So then in the execution phase, we have to perform the operation, the arithmetic and logic operation. And next is we have to store the result. That means after performing addition operation of contents of these registers, we have to store the result in R7, because our instruction is add R5 comma R6. That means adding R5 with R6 and storing the result in R7. So that is done in the execution phase. And next one is what after execution, the instruction uh, will go to the next instruction. Okay, and that next instruction, where it will be stored, it will be stored in the program counter, because the program counter always keeps tracks of next instruction. So we have to increment the PC, and your PC is incremented according to your byte addressability, either by 4, by 2, or by 8. So it depends on the byte addressability you are using in your system. So your PC is incremented, and after executing current instruction, then the next instruction whose address is stored in the program counter is to be fetched from the memory, and these operations will be performed again like in a cycle manner, like again fetching, then again execute, uh, fetching, then decode, then execute, and again your PC is incremented, and then from the PC we will get the address of the next instruction, and these operations will be performed again. Okay, so according to the instruction, we have to perform the operations, whether it is load operation, whether it is store operation. Store operation means we have to write, means here I am adding R5 comma R4, and I'm storing it in R4. Okay, that means this to performs the read operation, and in this register R4 we are performing the write operation. Okay, so it depends on your instruction. So we are not updating a value here, we just copied the values and add it. Okay, but when we are performing the write operation, we are updating the value of R4. Okay, in reading operation, we are not updating the value of R5 and R4. We are just copied it and adding it. Okay, but in write operation, we are updating the value of register R4, because in register R4, we are going to store our addition result. Okay, or the destination. Okay, so we have to remember these things while doing operations. The contents, source, operands are not updated, but destination location content is updated. Okay, so these are some operations and these are some phases which we have to perform to execute an instruction. So now in today's lecture, this is all about your instruction and instruction sequencing. Now in today's lecture, we have seen what is instruction and instruction sequencing. So basically in instruction and instruction sequencing, we have to follow 4 phases. That means data transfer between memory and processor registers by using MAR, MDR, IR, PC and GPR. Then second function is done by the control unit, that is program sequencing and control. Then next one is done by your arithmetic and logical unit, and last one is the IO transfer, which is done by the input and output unit. Okay, now this is divided into two parts, that is register transfer notation and assembly language notation, because computer doesn't understand the high level language. That's why here we are using the assembly level language, which is middle level language, and the syntax which is understood by the computer is divided into two notations, that is register transfer notation and assembly language notations. Okay, so these two having different syntax. First we had discussed about the register transfer notation. So to transfer data between processor and register, so for the processor, we use syntax like GPR, that means R0, R1 up to Rn, number of registers. These are the general purpose register, and PC, that is program counter. To denote the memory locations, we use predefined name as LOC, that is location, place. A stands for accumulator and variable. And IO system, for IO system, we use syntax as data in, data out, and in status. Okay, so now when we transfer data from memory location to processor register, we use this type of syntax, that is we are transferring contents from memory location LOC to R1, that is general purpose register. And when we have to transfer data from memory location or from any other location, we have to enclose it in a square bracket. Okay, now to transfer data between register to register, we can write it like this, that is R4 and R3. R4 is added with the R3 because we have to add the contents of R4 and R3 and store the result into R5. We have to enclose it within square bracket. Okay, and after this we are transferring these contents into R5. Okay, now in register transfer notation, the most important thing that we have to remember is that the leftmost means it can be your memory location, it can be address or destination where the result will be placed. And rightmost is your source. Okay, so leftmost is the destination and rightmost is the source. But it is reverse in assembly language notation. In assembly language notation, rightmost is your destination and leftmost is your source. But you can follow any of the syntax. So this is assembly language notation, but instead of LOC transferring R1, instead of this syntax, we have to write it as load LOC comma R5. So this load is used in assembly language notation. For adding the contents of register or memory locations, instead of this sign, we have to use add in assembly language notation. Okay, so here R4 and R3 are your source contents and you are transferring the result into R5, that means R5 is your destination. Okay, now this load and this add is called as opcodes. So it indicates which type of operation we have to perform on operands. Operand means on which we have to perform operations, that is R4, R3, LOC, and this R1. These are your operands. Okay, so this is all about today's lecture. In the next lecture, we will see how to execute different types of instruction like straight line sequencing, branching, and different instruction formats. So there are different instruction types which we are using in the assembly language programming. So we studied it in the later classes.